What's up, Fast Pitch Zone? This video is for coaches and parents of competitive athletes who want to help their athletes get out of their head whenever they're in a game. You know, like you've been working on stuff and then they get in the game and they freeze. Got a little makeup right there. There we go. Let's just fix that. And I'm here with my new team member, Katie. And so I'm training her on how to teach mental performance. Mm-hmm. She's becoming a mental performance coach with me. She was one of the first athletes I ever worked with. And so I figured while I was teaching her this concept, I would also teach it to you and share it with you guys here. So I got some notes and I've got some handy dandy artwork in which we are gonna, it's beautiful, and we're gonna reference this in just a second. So if you're watching the replay, feel free to post a replay. This will be a short, probably like 5 to 6 minute training, and something that you could definitely share with your athletes once we get to the good chunk here in a minute. So, you know, I know as a coach or as a parent and as an athlete, it is really frustrating when you pull things off in the cages or at practice or at pitching lessons and everything works, and then you get into the tournament, you get into the game, and it's like you freeze. And especially as a parent or as a coach, you've invested a lot of time, a lot of money. Sometimes it can even feel embarrassing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure.
It feels embarrassing as an athlete too, when you work so hard at something and it doesn't work. So our goal here in this video is to help give you guys the tools, and I'm teaching Katie now, right? So I'm going from, you know, what their frustrations and struggles were to what is that they want, is how do you help your athlete get present? How do you get them in the zone? How do you help them be more focused and go from feeling anxious to feeling confident? Okay, so I'm gonna tell you guys a quick story because I actually, as an adult, even though I was teaching mental performance, went through this myself. So the camp I told you about in Canada is one of the best camps up there. It's called Beyond the White Lines. And every year, except for this last year, I go up and I teach at Beyond the White Lines camp, and there's, 150 kids, and they're in teams, and I'm the mental performance coach, right? So they come through the stations, and I get to teach them all this stuff.
Okay.
And so I was teaching them this topic of fast pitch flow and Zen hitting and how do you create focus power. And then on the last day, they have the coaches versus instructor game.
Oh, Lord.
So I was playing, and I was going up to bat, and I was hitting against Sarah Polly, who plays professionally, and she's 7'1". Okay? There's a picture of me next to her. I swear I come up to her belly button. Right? She's a beast. She throws really fast. She was preparing to go to Japan to play at that point in time, so she was bringing the heat. And she says she wasn't, but she was. She's competitive, right? So I'm getting ready to go up to bat, and I hadn't played at the time in 5 years. I was teaching mental performance, but not playing. I do different sports now. I do jiu-jitsu, but not softball. I did play in college, but it had been a while since I had competed, and I hadn't even picked up a bat. And here I am about to step in the box, and there's 150 kids I've been teaching all week about this stuff, and they are cheering and chanting my name, like chanting the things that I taught them back at me. And I'm up and I'm getting ready to hit off a Sarah Polly, and everybody's been striking out. And in my head, I'm like, oh my gosh, if I screw this up, they're not going to believe anything that I taught them all week. I'm like, they're not going to believe me. So I better do this well. And the first time I foul tipped it, and she was, and the second time she threw a change up and I whiffed real hard. And then I went through I'm like, okay, I know how to do this. I went through the process that I'm about to share with you. Got a base hit. You would have figured it was the College World Series. I was like, I think my batting average is like really high for Beyond the White Lines. I think I'm batting 1,000 right now. And I had a sneaky bunt on her later, which is a whole nother story. But so I'm sharing this with you guys because, one, I know that even after a long time, it worked for me. And then I took this, and I was actually teaching this concept to Sarah Polly as a pitcher, and I was showing her how to create flow state and how to get out of her head and into the moment, to be present, to just let her body do what it's been trained to do. And she, who's a professional athlete, played for the Akron Racers, has competed internationally. She goes, this is amazing, because I was showing her the science behind it. Now, I do not have time on this training to go into the science, but I am going to show you guys the big overarching vision, or how this works, okay? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to teach it to you.
Okay.
And I'm going to teach it to you guys like I teach it to kids. So if you got your kids, this is where you'd want them to at least understand the principle. All right, so I'm going to flip back over to my handy dandy artwork here. All right, so here we go. All right, so we have our softball batter, this is me in Canada, and this is Sarah Polly, as you can tell, clearly. All right, I got some colored pencils up here. So I talk about competing and getting out of your head and into the zone, kind of like a video game, okay? And if your kids have ever played video games before, they know this concept of health power, right? It's like whenever you get hit by the bad guy, your health power goes down, and when your health power goes down to 0, you die, right? Well, in the softball game, you have focus power. So I'm going to draw the little bar above the batter, and I'm going to draw the little bar above the pitcher, okay? And now, if all things being equal, meaning the skill set here and the skill set here are equal, right? Then the only thing we have to compete on is what we call focus power. I'm going to put focus power up here, okay? Focus power. And I will tell you, man, that handwriting is rough, okay? But you guys know, it says focus power. I got a phone call from a coach yesterday who was watching one of my lives. I'll time out from the graphic. We're going to go back to it. And he's like, he's coaching a 14 and under team in is it a 14 under team in Orlando? 12 and under team in Orlando. And he's like, I'm so frustrated because they're so competitive. They know how to hit, and yet they wait till the last minute. They wait till it's the last inning to turn it on. Right? They don't understand. And he's like, they're talking about TikTok or they're talking about whatever. And he's like, I want them to learn how to focus, not just for right now, but for their whole life. So anyway, this is part of that concept. Okay. So I get it, guys. I get it. He's like, can you do some calls with my team? And I'm like, let's talk about that. Okay. So we've got our focus power here. And let's just say that in the beginning, we step up to the plate with full focus power, and the pitcher has full focus power too. Now, we teach the concept of momentum. In softball, we want to steal the other team's focus power, and we want to keep our focus power strong. So that way, in any given pitch, we have full focus power. Because if we don't, let's say that the very first pitch is thrown, and let's say it was not a very good pitch, right? But the umpire called it a strike anyway, and then somebody in the stands is like, come on, you're not going to get a prettier one than that, right? And then this person's thinking, oh my gosh, I can't believe I didn't swing at that. Now their brain is sending out all these other electrical signals, okay, other than being present and focusing on what's important now. I have a whole nother, actually, I'm going to give you guys a bonus training. You guys want a bonus training? Here's the bonus training. Here is our body. Our body can only exist in the present. That's the only place it can exist. And here is our head. We're going to draw our head like a balloon. Okay, there we go. If our head or our mind is with our body in the present, everything's cozy, everything's kosher, things are comfortable. But our mind has the ability to go to the past, woo, and think about what just happened over here. Wah, wah, okay? Or go into the future and think about, like, what happens if I strike out, right? It goes over here. So when our mind is going into the past or into the future, thinking about negative things in the past or negative things in the future, this is where stress comes from. Okay. And if you want your body to be in flow, and I'm telling you, there's actual science behind this. It's called coherence. If you want to Google it, they teach it to the most elite athletes about how do you link the electrical signals from your brain to the muscles in your body. But this is the simple way to explain it. Okay. So if your mind is not focused on the most important thing to do now in flow, then that's when we're literally wasting electrical energy or mindset energy. And that's when we just tip the ball. We miss it by that much. Okay, so coming back here to focus power, we want to teach our mind to be fully present. And if our focus power is going down because the first pitch was called a strike and we have a negative association with that, now who's got the advantage? The pitcher who's ahead, right? Or us? Like obviously the pitcher has the advantage because they have more focus power than us. So the job of the batter in between pitches is to, no matter what happens to this focus power, is to learn how do I recharge my focus power every single pitch. So every single pitch, no matter what just happened in the moment, you come back up to the plate with full focus power. Does that make sense, Katie?
Mm-hmm. That makes total sense.
Have I don't think have I taught this to you before?
Not really.
No? Okay. And there's science behind all this, which is really fun. Okay. So basically there's 4 routines that we want to teach, whichever side you're on. In this case, I'm talking about the hitters. So there's the get signal routine. There's your visual routine. this is where we actually train our body, our mind to look into the future, but not in a negative way, but to train the body to look into the future in a positive way, saying, I just got a hit, and then return back to the present moment, okay, where they do your physical routine. Now, most athletes, some athletes have this, like let's do this. Good athletes have a visual routine. Physical, almost all athletes, man, these pencils are hard to write with. I apologize, guys. It's hard to hold a phone and write, but we're making it work, okay? So visual routine, good athletes have that. Maybe even great athletes have a visual routine. Most good or trained will have a physical routine. That's where you see the girls, they grab their bat the same way every single time. They step in the same time. But what most people don't teach is how to have a a focus routine. So I'm going to come back here. How do you get, we're going to call it flow state routine. And this flow state routine, what usually happens if you think about practices, okay, when your athletes go to practice and they tip a ball or they're hitting off of the tee, they're usually making micro adjustments between every single one. And if you ask an athlete when they get a hit, they're like, oh my gosh, I dropped my shoulder. I dropped my hands. I did this. They're always focused on what they did wrong, right? And they're doing that in order to make an adjustment for the next one because we're teaching them to make adjustments. But those types of practices does not train the brain to recharge flow state. It's a different activity altogether. It's a different series of practices. It's a different series of drills to teach and train flow state versus I'm trying to train my body on how to perform the activity the right way. And that's why you can see athletes who have horrible swings and yet they always hit the ball. It's like, why? Because they're in flow state and they know how to be a hitter. When you say, coaches always say, that girl is a hitter. Even though her swing is ugly, she's a hitter because she knows how to do this in ways that athletes who are perfectionists and high performing and like really meticulous and perfectionists that are fantastic athletes, but they get in their head, meaning it means they're floating here or there. They're thinking too much and they're not present. That's what's happening when your athletes aren't performing. So, you guys like this? Here's what I like it.
I liked it.
I worked really hard to design that. This was many years in the making and many years of proof. We actually do whole trainings on that. So here's what I have for you guys. I actually have a whole hour and a half long training on the flow state and some exercises for it. It's free. I was just talking to Katie. We are gonna redesign it, add some more practices, some more drills and routines to it that you guys can actually do with your athletes and with your teams, and then we're going to sell it. But right now it's free. So if you guys want access to that, just type the word flow, F-L-O-W in the comments, and then Katie will get you the link to that because I don't have the link. It's like a long, weird link. It's not easy I think. So she'll get you the link to that. She'll send you a direct message. But here's the other thing that I wanted to share. Because Lorena says the game needs more of this. Dude, this is my life. I love this stuff. So yeah, type the word flow in the comments if you guys want access to that. But here's the other thing that you guys need to know. So many parents, and I've been teaching this for 10 years, traveling the country. And whenever I'm done doing my whole show and the spiel, parents come up to me and they say, Jen, I don't understand. My daughter was so confident and now she's not. It's like they think maybe she lost it under her bed with her dirty clothes or something. I don't know. But
it disappeared.
It just disappeared. It was there and now it's not there. And what usually parents come looking for, especially when in these kinds of groups, is parents are saying like, hey, I want my child to be more confident. I want them to be more successful. I want them to perform better. And so they're trying to pump air into a tire, which I call the softball tire. But if you think about your child as a holistic individual, they've got 4 tires. They've got their relationships. They've got their energy level. Like and the energy is not just their physical energy, it's also their emotional energy to be able to be present. Then they've got their softball skills, and then they've got school and all the other things that are important to them too. So we've got these 4 different tires, and 90% of the time people are like, how do I fix my kid's swing? And they're like trying to pump air into this softball tire, but really the issue is like their energy tire, and their energy tire is low because they're stressed all the time, and they're anxious, and they're feeling all these feelings. And so then they show up to practice and you're trying to talk to them about softball, but that's not really the real issue, because how are they going to be present to get the most out of every rep if they don't have full energy?
Yeah.
Right? So what I do and what we do with athletes is we have a process to where we're figuring out which tire is really the low tire. Is it really the one we think it is? Because I can pump air into that front tire with softball all day, and it's still going to be a bumpy ride if the energy tire is low, or if the relationship tire has a nail in it, or they're stressed out about school. And so we got to figure out which one's first. So last night we were doing a call with our power team girls, which is like, these girls had to earn a spot to be on this call. It's not open and available to anybody. They earned a spot through our toughest team challenge and other things that we do. And I was asking them, I'm like, guys, we're creating this new program called Legends Camp. And I said, but you guys get to help us create it. What is the biggest challenge you guys are faced with right now? And even the ones that are the leaders on their team, even the ones that, like, we've got another girl right now who's writing a book, like the girls who came on and said, guys, my confidence is through the roof right now. Even those girls were saying, I know this sounds silly, but I'm still struggling with confidence. Carly came on and she's like, I know, like, I'm so much better. I've gotten over all these mental blocks, and still I want to know every single time I get in the box that I'm going to get a hit. And a lot of it came with this pressure of this identity of a high-performing athlete. I know so many of you guys have high-performing athletes. And what happens is, like, they're focused so much on their performance, and their identity is based around their performance, that it's really hard for them to get into flow state, because if they're not getting the outcomes that they want, then that stress is created. I hope that's making sense. So what we're doing right now is I'm in the middle right now. Today is day 1 of Legends Camp, which is how do you create the identity of a legend? So no matter where you're at in your journey or your process, that where you are has nothing to do with who you are, and that these athletes learn how to be more confident in who they are, so that way their results don't impact their performance. Because it becomes a negative cycle. And I know some of you guys have seen that with your own athletes before. So here's what we're going to do. Anybody who signs up for Flow, the Fast Pitch Flow, and it's free. Like, there's no charge to this right now. It will be a charge eventually. But it's not today, because I don't have it at the level of delivery that I want. But it's good. It's really good, and it will help your athletes. So if you guys do Flow today, everybody who signs up today is also going to get an invitation to Legends Camp, which is a brand new program that starts today. It's a 7-day challenge that's going to help your athlete be able to create the identity based on who they are, not where they are, not where their performance is. So Kate says, I have a 10-year softball player you've described to a T. Thank you. I'm going to show this video to her. Well, hello, Kate's daughter. I'm excited to have you watching. My name's Coach Jen, and I'm the founder of Fast Pitch Fit and the Toughest Team Challenge. And we help athletes like you with big dreams be able to make those dreams come true. And not just in softball, whether you want to go get a softball scholarship, but we've had girls write books and start businesses, start nonprofits, speak on stages, get scholarships. We specialize in helping athletes be able to get academic scholarships too, through being able to learn how to communicate with coaches, because all of that has to do with how you show up as a leader. So we're doing a lot of really cool things. I'm now training Katie, which is why she's here with me. Katie was actually the first athlete that reached out on Fast Pitch Fit when I first started it. I don't even know how long ago.
7 years ago.
7 years ago. And I helped her with a project, and then she ended up winning her science fair project, which then we published her in a book. And then after she published that in the book, she got to speak on stage, and like all these really cool things started happening. And so recently I reached out to her and was like, hey, what are you doing? And she wasn't really happy with the career she was in. I'm like, girl,
get down here.
Get on down here. And she came down. So I'm training her. So by the way, if you guys can do me a small favor, reach out, like add Katie on Facebook.
For sure.
As soon as I'm done here, Katie, how do they find you on Facebook?
Just search Katie Huffnagel.
Okay.
It's got a green background.
I'm going to put her right now. Well, you have 2 Facebooks, so reach out to Katie and give her some love, because
we can tag me in the post.
Yeah, we'll tag her in the post whenever I end this here in just a minute. But type Flow. Reach out to Katie, be friends with her on Facebook. I'm capped out. I already got 5,000, so I can't add anymore. And then do me a favor when she's posting, because I'm training her to how to do this presentation in other groups, so we can help other groups and other people be able to see it. Like, help give her some love and help comment and help support her, because she's new to the whole Facebook Live thing, and we want to make sure that we're helping as many athletes right now as we can. So hope this was helpful to you guys. if you liked this, tag a coach or a player or a parent you think would benefit from it. And I'll see you guys real soon. Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Flow and legend. Type legend. There we go. Bye.